Media these days is almost entirely useless trash. There's no way around it. Especially, most of the newer movies you might see on Netflix are nothing but complete brainwashing. But over the past few months, many of our brothers have asked us the greatest masculine movies that they could watch. Remember, brothers, the media, the movies, the online world itself is the biggest weapon created by mankind until now. How you use this weapon, however, is ultimately your choice. But with that said, here are the 5 best and most masculine movies every man should watch and what you can learn from them. Movie number 1, The 300. Everything that this world thinks is so-called toxic masculinity can be found inside this movie. When it comes to masculinity, this movie embraces it to the fullest. This movie does such a great job at being masculine that a lot of people say that it's controversial and insecurity-inducing. You know a piece of media is going to be great when most people think that it's offensive. The story told in the movie is the one of a Spartan king, Leonidas, who puts his own life at risk along with the lives of 300 of his best soldiers in order to protect his kingdom from the Persian king Xerxes, who wants to submit Sparta to his dominion. The Persian king is represented as a cunning and evil figure, as someone who offers women and status in exchange for obedience. King Leonidas, however, refuses these vain gifts every single time the option is presented to him, and keeps on fighting without retreating or giving up. The main message that the movie has in store for us is plain and simple. Stand your ground and never stop fighting. For a man of honor would rather die on his feet than live on his knees. No matter what happens to you, you have to remain calm and strike back at whatever is trying to stop you. Whether that's instant gratification, your own mind, or the people around you. It's in the deepest pain of the fight that men are made. Movie number 2, Dead Poets Society. This classic movie is another must-watch for those of you who are in need of guidance and feel lost in this scripted world. The movie revolves around a high school English teacher called John Keating and his unconventional approach towards life and teaching. His students quickly become intrigued by his classes and soon enough begin learning important life lessons from that same teacher. This movie will make you think about your life, its meaning, and what really has meaning in all of it. The students are presented with the option to follow the script that both society and their family have already built for them since birth, or to take the road that few travel and pave the way for their own definition of success. If you're a young man in search of purpose, then this movie is a great way to really start questioning the so-called matrix around you. As controversial as this may sound to some of you, but learn to stand up to authority when it's clearly wrong. Being able to think for yourself is one of the greatest principles from this movie. Movie number 3, The Karate Kid, 1984. This movie has a whole set of lessons to teach. The story revolves around a teenage boy named Daniel and his development as a fighter. At the start of the movie, he is nothing but fresh meat to his bullies. Despite his best attempts at getting himself out of trouble and standing up to them, he gets harassed and injured. This bullying would have gotten even worse for him if it wasn't for Mr. Miyagi, a karate master. Daniel, impressed by his display of skills, asked the man to teach him the ways of martial arts. Miyagi only accepts after making an agreement with the violent karate teacher of a different martial arts club called John Kreese. Daniel now begins learning karate through various life lessons from his master. Here are the greatest core masculine principles that this movie will teach you: discipline, passion, the beauty of constant improvement, and the duty for men to protect and help those in need. Like many of us, Daniel also starts off weak, but with the right masculine guidance and hard work, he transforms himself from weak and helpless to a strong and relentless force of nature. This is exactly what the 99% of men should, yet don't do. Movie number 4, Saving Private Ryan. Many consider this movie a true masterpiece. The story talks about the horrors of World War II and the heroic men who gave up everything. The movie begins with the Normandy invasion, with very detailed scenes of everything that happens in war. You will see men's guts being ripped out from the bullet wounds, blood spilling. It truly makes you appreciate the sacrifices that previous men were ready to take. After struggling through the chaos of the first battle, Captain John Miller gathers a group of survivors to continue the military operation. This story is not your typical war movie, where men are depicted as unstoppable killing machines, but rather a truthful and honest retelling of the sacrifice that these men had to make. Honor and duty are only the tip of the iceberg that represents the masculine depth of this heroic tale. The main lesson to be drawn from this movie is the reminder that men are meant to be martyrs of humanity. The realistic and pure lesson of heroism that can be learned from Saving Private Ryan is yet another part of masculinity which is now forgotten and set aside in the name of comfort. If you take the time to actually focus deeply on the movie, you won't need to watch it more than once for its lesson to be remembered. And finally, movie number 5, Forrest Gump. Compared to Saving Private Ryan, this is a more lighthearted and fun story of a life lived to the fullest. The movie begins by showing you a child named Forrest Gump. Unlike many other kids like him, he is below average on a basic level, with both a physical impairment and a low IQ. What you will come to learn during the entire length of the movie is that despite it all, he manages to prevail over his weaknesses in order to fulfill his purpose. Forrest becomes a football player, then a student, then a soldier, then a celebrity, and then an entrepreneur. The passion and complete dedication he puts into everything he does teaches us men an important lesson. Don't let your weaknesses stop you from fulfilling your purpose. And more importantly, never use your weakness as an excuse. Forrest Gump ticks each of his passions one by one, which also shows the power of momentum. Momentum and consistency are the ingredients to success. The movie gives you an exact definition of how men are supposed to operate in their lives. Purpose for us men is much like an extra life to live. If you act like the majority of men in the world, you'll set out to achieve your purpose only to then get distracted and stop, effectively putting that portion of your existence on pause. What the movie teaches us is that life is to be lived to the fullest, without wasting time or giving up, by living as many lives as we can. To see the next best way to level up as a man, check this video here.